Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Pivot on Purpose. I am so excited this week to have Lesley Seymour, founder of the CoveyClub. How do I say it?
It's probably
Covey.
really Covey, but I call it Covey just because it sounds more like Cubby, but it's
Okay.
probably Covey.
And
I just like, no, that's your own business. You can call it whatever you want to call it, right?
yes, exactly. And Covey Club is a platform for women in midlife reinvention, something that we share as a passion, both of us. And my name is Ann Pillsbury, and I'm a leadership and transition coach who helps women navigate midlife transition through my coaching program called the Meant for More method. And Lesley is not only founder of the Covey Club, she also has a podcast called Reinvent Yourself and has a long career in media and was formerly editor-chief of Mary Claire, More, with your final stint, and Redbook. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. So nice to have.
Yeah, yeah. So I always open Pivot on Purpose talking a little bit about what your pivot on purpose is. So could you tell us a little bit about your shifting your career about 7 or so years ago or so?
Yeah, well, my pivot was not necessarily on purpose. It's called when your sector, your whole publishing sector that you grew up in and spent, gosh, what, 35 years in, goes out of business. I mean, there aren't any magazines anymore. Who would have guessed? So
Yeah.
it was really purposeful. It's what happened. And, you have to have plan B. I go around the country talking about how you should always have a reinvention plan in your back pocket because you really don't know when things like that are going to happen. I mean, when I started out, writing as a career paid very well. You could have
Mm-hmm.
if you could do it, if you were considered talented enough, you could make a living. And, there was advertising writing and magazine writing. And oh my God, I mean, op-ed writing, reporters, people got paid really well. And
Yeah.
poor compared to our friends in the business side. But, it was a living. And I had a fabulous career. I started out, in the newspaper area at Women's Wear Daily, then the Daily News, then Harper's Bazaar, then over to Vogue. And then I went to the Glamour and then started running my own magazines. YM was the very first one I ran, which was a teen book. And
Yes, I remember it well.
it was just, you know what? I call it Hollywood for non-actors because you got all the benefits of Hollywood. You got to walk the red carpets. You got to go to all the interesting parties, but you didn't have to get up on stage. I would be a
Yes,
crappy
true.
actor. I could not. I have stage fright. I couldn't do that. But I can write, and
Yeah.
and I can bring women together. And then when that closed, I knew the magazine business was in danger. You really had to put your head in the sand not to know that. For the last 10 years of my career, they started firing people, in big batches from these big companies.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at More, we started out with 34 people, and by the end, it was 24. I mean, you can't do and we were doing the web. Then not only did they contract us, but then they expanded our work to double the work, but with a third less people. So you don't have to be a brain surgeon to realize this is not going anywhere. And I actually thought that my planned pivot was to go into sustainability. I started getting my degree at night up at Columbia in sustainability. I thought I'd go over into the beauty business.
Okay.
Because the beauty people, I'd been in beauty my whole life too.
Mm-hmm.
And they need help in the sustainability area. And 2 years before I finished my degree, because I was doing it at night, they pulled the plug on More, and I had to sit at my table, my dining room table, and go, okay, today I'm either going to learn MailChimp, how to send out emails to, I'm going to take that More readership and put them online because there was nothing for them, or I'm going to figure out how to do a sustainable business in Cambodia, which was one of the projects I had to do that semester. And so I would, I had this like weird dichotomy of a life, which was really kind of fun and crazy, and finished my degree. But by then Covey had sort of just taken off, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to ride this one as long as I can and see what happens. And now it's 6 years later. And now most businesses don't make it beyond year 5. So, and we've always been, we've always been profitable. This is our year that we have to scale, and scaling is a whole different thing. And
Yeah.
what I love is I'm always learning something. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
learning. I'm learning about marketing. I'm learning about, about SEO. I'm like a learning
Yes,
monster.
I
That's
could.
what I
I'm
love.
hearing that from your story. Remind everybody what
So
more, like more was
it's a
targeted towards the over 40 woman, right?
magazine for women 40 plus.
Right.
Yep. And it was, the only one in its market. It was very sophisticated, high-end writing, high-end photography. We took it, it was in a company, it was in the wrong company.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a company that was very low end. It was called Meredith, and they had things like Better Homes and Gardens, and it was a very mass media company. And this was not a mass media magazine. It was 1.5 million circulation. The other ones were like, 5 million. And so they kept thinking we were small. I mean, by any other company's, numbers, 1.5 million is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, we didn't do food. We didn't do cooking and cleaning, which all the other
Mm-hmm.
magazines did. So we just didn't fit into their ad base, and they didn't know how to court the beauty and fashion people, even though we did as a small subset. But, doing it all on your own is very hard when you don't have corporate backing
Yes, of course.
or corporate
So,
packages. And
so
that's
yeah, sorry to interrupt. So you had the mailing list and you kind of knew what these women wanted. How did you stumble upon reinvention? Because you eventually become, your focus
yeah.
for CoveyClub is reinvention, right?
Unfortunately, I didn't have the mailing list. I just had the
Okay.
people who came to the God, that would have been the great thing. I
Yeah.
would have tried to talk to them about buying it, but they sold it to Inc. or something like that. They sold it somewhere. So I worked off my social media, and basically the idea
Sorry.
behind behind Covey was to pick up where more left off. Right. The idea was, let's take the same idea and put it onto the a different kind of platform. And I took it and I ran with it, and that's how I made Covey. And Covey, I didn't intend for Covey to be about reinvention. More was largely about reinvention, because when you
Hmm.
talk to women plus, you are going to have reinvention in there, because there's going to be some hiccup, some kind of change in your life, a health change, a divorce, a widowhood, empty nest, something like that. And people kept coming to me for reinvention. They
Hmm.
came to me they were in transition. And so what you do as an entrepreneur, I was just going to be midlife. I was literally just going to mirror what Moore had done.
Hmm.
And I just decided, okay, if everybody thinks I'm reinvention, you can reinvent all parts of your life. You can reinvent your attitude to menopause. You can reinvent, your approach to the empty nest. You can use reinvention as the wedge for everything. And so that's kind of what we do. Reinvention
Yeah.
runs through, and reinvention is just another word for change. Reinvention to some
Right.
people is huge and scary. It's not. It can be reinventing your hair. It can be reinventing your exercise routine. It can be big or small. But we do work with change, and we kind of have learned over the last 6 years how to get women from being stuck, frustrated, bored, fearful of what's next, through that moment into a moment where they've found the next thing they're doing, whether it's career, whether it's a new business, whether it's a new life, whether it's moving and doing a whole different kind of lifestyle, whatever it is, writing books, writing poetry. That's kind of what we do.
So that's exactly what I do with my one-on-one coaching as well. And it's interesting because most people come for me because they're thinking they want a career pivot, but then it ends up being that it's transition is, as you said, so such a big topic of midlife that it could end up being relationship. It could end up be how you show up at work, right? It doesn't
Right.
necessarily, because I notice, and I wonder if you see this, is that there's a shift in, we've done the the bells of success. And a lot of women are feeling like, I'm still not feeling that sense of fulfillment, of feeling of purpose. And so when we hit midlife, we still ambitious, but it shifts a little bit on how we want to express that ambition.
Oh, yeah. I think you really want to come into yourself at midlife. I think, look, there's nothing like mortality to make to make you hustle and make you, really get down to business with what you want. I don't think that in your 20s and 30s you have a sense that time is infinite. And if you can't figure it out, so what? And if you're hanging in a job that doesn't really fulfill you, so what? You've got forever. And then you turn a certain age, and it happens usually somewhere in your 40s, and you go, holy crap, I may only have 40 more of these left or less. What am I going to do with them? What's my goal? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want to get rid of? Who do I really feel that I am? And am I living that life that I feel is important? And if the answer is no, it's a darn good time to get a coach or to get into a group. We do, mostly group work, though we bring in coaches like you, as you know, to teach twice a week. To really decide, what is it that I want to do? Am I doing the things that matter? What's my legacy going to be? How am I going to live my life, when I'm out of the working and mothering part of my life? If you have that, how am I going to live the second part of my life if I, in a divorce or in a, widowhood situation? What does that look like? What are your values? Your values can change a lot at midlife.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we feel like I've written about this before. You feel like you've lost your ambition, but maybe it's not that you've lost your ambition. It's that your values have changed. Your value, what is important to you, has shifted. And when you're out of alignment with the values, then that causes the disconnect within your heart and soul between what you're doing, and you lose your motivation, right?
You may lose the old type of motivation.
Right.
It may not mean anything anymore.
Right.
The old, it's just like you reach a certain point in your life where, I went to the Duke Women's Conference, and, you check in and they hand you the little handbag. And I said to her, no, I don't want the bag. Just give me the stuff inside. I don't want any more clutter. I don't want more stuff. I want less stuff, less clutter. If it's it's a fancy bag, I'll take it, but it's just another tote bag.
Right.
Thank you. I don't need one. And in the old days, I was taking everything, right? Everything. I was so intrigued by everything. Right. And I'm at a different point where I'm like, I know what I need. I know what I don't, and give it to somebody who really enjoyed that,
And you've made some big life change. I mean, you moved from New York City to New Orleans. Was that a values-based shift there? Like, how did that happen?
Crazy thing. Well, I think it was, I never really thought of it as a reinvention, but a lot of people have pointed it out to me as like, that's a huge change. And yes, we had been living in the New York suburbs, which were great for raising children. They were fabulous. And my children are adults and they're working. And I had my son who was in Brooklyn, who would say to me, like, I don't want to come back out there because it's so boring. There's nothing to do. It takes me an hour to get there. Why would I come there? And, and I was like, yeah, you're right. What's there to do? You come home, we'll cook dinner, you watch TV, and we put you back on the train for an hour. You're right. I get it. So, and once I had CoveyClub, I do not need to be in New York. I don't have to go into work every day. It's terribly expensive up there. My husband and I both hate the cold weather. So we kind of made a list of priorities and said, you know what, even though I thought I'd be in that house for the rest of my life, it's a big, beautiful house. I said, you know what, I want to change. I want something different. And we made our list of priorities and we started looking for a couple of years, and we walked into this house that I'm in now in New Orleans. We had been coming here as tourists, every couple of years we would come down here. We love the pace. We love the architecture, the food, the culture. We like the warm weather. And walked into this house and I was like, wow, this feels like home to me. I think we should try this. And my husband had never lived out of the Northeast, so it was a big transition for him, and he loves it. We both love it. We're really, really happy. During COVID, we built a pool in the backyard, which was one of my must-haves. I wasn't gonna. It gets very, 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 very hot
Hot
down,
in the summertime.
and I said I'm not going to be here full time if I don't have a pool. So I did that, and it's like living in your vacation spot. And
Yeah.
actually, people are really nice, really friendly, really crazy. I'm out. I march in the Mardi Gras bands. I joined a marching group.
I love that story.
I,
So tell us about that.
I do everything. You got to understand. I'm a joiner. I'm a
Yeah.
nutty joiner. So like my kids are like they're adults. Like I talk to them on, we're on FaceTime all the time. All that free time I can work on CoveyClub and I can do other things. So I had seen a lot of the parade culture here. It's a unique thing. It's parade culture. I'm not a music person. Music doesn't really move me much, but weirdly, parade music does. Parade music goes right into my body. I love parades. What I love is it's very down. You're very close to everything here. The parades are right in front of your house. It's not like the Macy's Day Parade where it's, even if you get close to it, you're, 100 feet away as close as you can be. These come right down your street. I mean, you can shake the people's hands. It's really very intimate. And I was like, this is so much fun. I love it. Found out a bunch of people. They were like, you should come ride in this or do that or do that. And I found this marching group. Looked at these women. I was like, oh, they look so like they're having so much fun. They're middle-aged women, all shapes, sizes, colors, everything. And they're marching in the parades. I was like, who are these people anyway? Long story short, I got online the one day they were open. I applied, I got in. And so my girlfriend who got me in, after I get in, I'm like, yay, I got in. I'm so excited. She goes, oh, that's great. Don't worry. The dances are really easy. I'm like, the what? The what? The what? I don't dance. I don't know how to dance. And so now I'm a dancer, which I did not know how to do. It was really panicky because I'm, one of those executives who wants to do it right and wants to be good at it and all that shit. And I had to learn to let go of a lot of that. And so that's been part of my reinvention. And I marched in 3 Mardi Gras parades. It was the most fun I've ever had as an adult. It's exactly what I thought I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Do new things, try new things, have fun, meet new people, have new experiences. I mean, I'm as happy now as I was in my 20s. I feel there's so much out there to learn and experience and connect with people in different ways. I just have the time. I'm having the time of my life. What can I say? I don't know what else, what to tell you, but my husband thinks I'm crazy.
I love it.
I did the other day, I did catch him. He ordered some light up shoes and they came in. I was like, what are those? Because he's a very humbug person, right? I'm like, what are those? He goes, oh, they're just some shoes. I'm like, oh, what do you need light up shoes for? Oh, maybe for Mardi Gras. I go, it's a slippery slope from light up shoes to marching in a parade. You better watch
marching in a parade. I love it.
It can happen. It can happen to you, humbug, also.
It can happen to you too. Right. So I actually got an email recently from you at CoveyClub, and the headline was "Why Strangers, Not Your Friends, Are Crucial to Your Midlife Reinvention." And this is something that I work with my clients with, because I think a lot of times when women are trying to make change, as much as we love our old friends, they may not be the best partners in this new idea of ourselves. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And then a little specifically how Covey addresses that?
Yes. Well, I was surprised by that. That's not something I knew or thought would happen. It's something I discovered. There's a lot of discoveries after 5 years of working with women through change, as you know, and guiding them through and seeing their responses and what works and what doesn't work. And a lot of our stuff is hit and miss. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a psychiatrist. It's a lot of figuring out what we can do. I mean, at CoveyClub, we say we hold a space for you while you figure out what's next for you. And we put in front of you people, places, products, and things that you can decide what will change your life for you. I can't tell you what your change should be. You have to pick and choose, but hopefully I give you ideas. But one of the things that we have found, and I did notice, is that a lot of people who came into the club said what they discovered is they were afraid of coming in because they were people they didn't know. But the surprise was because the people didn't know them. They didn't have any preconceived notion of them or expectations. It was
Yeah.
easier to reinvent, because if you're the girl that shows up today at Covey Club with blue hair and you dance around the room before you give an answer to anything, that's how we accept you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your old friends may say, like, what are you doing? Are you having a midlife
Right.
crisis?
You
Like,
haven't been like, what's going on? You know?
what the heck are you doing? And the other part of that too is that, remember, change is very hard. The human brain does not like change. The human brain wants you to be safe, right?
Right.
And your friends want you to be safe. Really, they know, they want to know. It's like having a couch in your house that it's comfortable. You know what it feels like. You can always sit down there with your cup of tea and you can gripe with each other about what's wrong and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Go away and do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a sounding board. If somebody in that group makes a change, it's very threatening,
Mm-hmm.
because now what? What does that say about me? Why can't I make change? Why can't I make myself happy? Why can't I move along? Why can't I get out of this? Not conscious. I'm not saying it's
No,
conscious.
of course not.
I'm saying it's just unconscious. We were in this cozy little place. Why are you leaving? Why are you between?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating. Change happens much more rapidly with a group of people you don't know who will support
Yeah.
you. And what's really interesting is when people are all going through change at the same time, sometimes people look at Covey Club and they're like, oh my God, those women look like such successful executives. I'm not that level. I'm going to be too embarrassed, whatever. The amazing thing is I call it the lobster effect. When the crustaceans outgrow their shells, there's a moment there where they're naked to the world. Well, they're growing their new shell. That's where you get soft-shelled crabs. That's when you eat them, is when they're soft. It's because the shell hasn't grown all the way back yet. Really terrible to
Mm-hmm.
say, but that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of, in that 10
Yeah.
of change, we're going to get eaten. And but when everybody's at that soft shell moment, that's actually when the playing field is level. So it doesn't really matter if you've been a CEO of something, or running your own business, or you were at home with kids for a long time. You're all going through the same thing. And the people that tend to come to Covey Club tend to be very honest about that,
Yeah.
and very welcoming with each other. And they also realize that if I help you, you help me, you have contacts I need, I have contacts you need. You may say something important that will get me going in one direction. And also, it's wonderful to make new friends at this stage, where a lot of your old friends, especially if you had kids and schools and all that stuff, a lot of that tends to evaporate
Right.
also in your business.
Right.
As you get higher up, a lot of people peel away and they disappear, and you're left there as the unitary executive all
Yeah.
by yourself. You're not going to hang out with your assistants,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
kind of in this little bubble by yourself, which is not a lot of fun. This is a way to broaden your friendships and get support at the same time.
Yeah. I so resonate with that, because I did stay home with my family. I raised my kids for 14 years and then returned to work. But I get a lot of that uneasy. In the past, I would have a lot of that imposter syndrome, feeling like hanging out with a
Yes,
bunch of executive women, because I hadn't done the same path, right?
right.
But I do find that you articulated it so perfectly, is like when you're all going through something new, a new reinvention, it is a level playing field, and it doesn't really matter what the resume looked like beforehand, because you're looking forward into living and being in a totally new way for all of us, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's the unifying factor. There are some people who will never be honest about how they feel, or, can't be vulnerable. Those people are not attracted to Covey
Yeah.
Club, so they don't really show up. But the people that I attract and that Covey Club attracts are all in it for each other. And we all know that the more we give to each other, the more we benefit. Everybody benefits.
Well, so great. So tell us where people can find Covey Club, and you said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you said
So
you have a great download people could download, and where they can find you, etc.
yes.
I'll add it to the notes, but it just
Oh,
15
great.
minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So Yes, it's coveyclub.com. It's COVEY club.com. Covey is a small group of birds, and I want it to be small and intimate. That was the whole idea. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can follow us there. Come to the site and get the newsletter. The newsletter will give you an idea of what we're doing. You don't have to join in order to participate. You can pick out a class that you like and just come do that. We have a great download that will give you, I think I gave it to you. It's the 31 badass tips for reinventing without fear. And those are the kind of commonality pointers that I've found over time that will get anybody started on their reinvention. And, also you can listen to the podcast, which is called Reinvent Yourself with Lesley Jane Seymour. And if you scroll through the show notes there, you're going to find somebody just like you who did it with less money, less contacts, less confidence, less body ability, less. I mean, I'm telling you, people reinvent. You can't. I mean, some of the stories that we put on the podcast, some of them are very average, and then some of them you're just like I don't know that I could have done what you did. Honestly, yeah. I'm so blown away by your persistence and your belief and your ability to move. And most of us are not in that extreme area. We're in that much more wishy-washy center. And you look around and say, all right, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, look, people do this. And a lot of it is mindset, as you probably know, Anne. Mindset has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And it can be done. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's hard. And that's why you need support. You need support of either a one-on-one coach. Sometimes coaches will, people will have a one-on-one coach, and then they need the group kind of thing. And we're the group therapy compared to the
I think it's a both and.
Both and is a good for some people. That's perfect. And it's we provide that. And what we do is, we bring in all the experts that we know on every topic that has to do with midlife and with reinvention of anything, the way you eat, your health, menopause, career, digital space, decluttering, you name it. And then you decide what are the things that are of interest to you and that actually will make a difference in where you're headed. And also the really interesting thing to do at midlife, I think, is to not make your path so narrow. I think in midlife, rather than saying, oh, I want to reinvent in the area, only going to look at that. I'm not going to look at anything else. I really encourage people to go wider.
Yeah.
Go wider and reach back to things that you may have not thought of in a very long time as being part of something that might trigger something interesting in you. I mean, literally this whole dancing thing for me, it turns on a different part of my brain. And I really had to reach back and say, oh my God, I haven't done this kind of thing since I was literally 10 when I would do tap and baton, right? I haven't done anything like that. And it was terrifying, right? That's just not who I am. I mean, a lot of people listening have been in cheerleading squads and all that. I have never done any of that. And yet I'm telling you, I've never been so happy. It's a Zen experience. It's using a different part of your brain. It is. And I would never have voluntarily signed up for dancing in anything. And if you spread yourself wide, you may either come back to things that you didn't know you missed in your life, even as a kid, or you may find new things that really turn you on that are really so joyful at this point of life that you didn't know you had an interest in. An art thing, it could be making things. I mean, who knows what it is, but just don't keep it narrow. Go bigger and wider.
Bigger and wider.
Yeah, bigger, wider. And anything that strikes your fancy, even if you think like, I don't know if I'm interested in that, go take that class. Go listen to that podcast.
And I love how you mentioned a few times, it wasn't a head thing. It was like a heart thing. Like you said, when you got to your new home, it felt like the home you had. So there's, and then you got the interest in things. It was an intuitive knowing that you're learning to trust. And I think that that's a muscle that we can learn to build in midlife. And so when you get that feeling of excitement in your belly or your, or it's a body thing. It's not a head thing. And then your head will go, no, 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 but trust the body.
And it can feel like fear. That's the thing. You have to know, is your body, is it excitement or is it fear? And sometimes I think that fear, it feels like fear because it's the unknown, but it's actually potential excitement. It's, I call it the flutters.
And
like
it's another both end. It's another both and. It's
yes,
like
yes.
fear,
You're
fear and excitement all at once,
yes,
And
you're scared that
yeah.
oh, like I'm in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. I like that feeling. After so many years of mastering so many different things, I like the feeling of not knowing, even though I get very frustrated. I get very frustrated, and there are things that make me want to cry about, the tech in my business. Sometimes I'm like, tell me that again. I don't get it. But it's I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes it joyful and makes it interesting.
It also
and
makes you it's a feeling of being alive.
Yes, yes, yes. I think you're dead honestly, I think you're dead when you know everything already.
Yeah.
I think that's the boredom of life. And that was one of the reasons why I had to leave the suburbs of New York. Is it just I've been there 24 years. I knew the routine. I knew every block. I knew, there's a comfort there.
Yeah.
But I was in a routine, and if you want to feel like you're alive again, you've got to really shake things up. And there is nothing like picking up and moving to shake things up. I mean, that's the ultimate thing you can do. And it's wonderful. I've never been so happy. It's just as I said to my husband, if it turns out it's wrong, we'll move somewhere else.
Come back. Yeah.
Go, whatever. Let's try something new. And here we are.
Lesley, I could talk to you for like
I know. We're way past time here.
I know, we're past, so I'm going to end our broadcast. But thank you so much for joining me. And
happy to have you. Thank you
so appreciative.
Good. Awesome. Take care.
Okay.